Daddy Dave is not leaving this street until he gets another crack at Chicago, and that somehow includes offering up the tennis ball race.
Street Outlaw No Prep Kings is a reality racing show with a no-prep style, with racers participating without a warm-up period, creating thrilling competitions. During a dangerous race, Daddy Dave, a prominent racer, suffered a serious accident that greatly affected his career. What happened on the track that day? Find out about Daddy Dave's accident and special details surrounding the show's cast. Street Outlaw No Prep Kings debuted in 2013 and quickly attracted racing fans around the world thanks to the drama and uniqueness of unprepared street racing. What made the show even more appealing was that the racers often used customized cars and raced in public locations, bringing a real sense of adventure and danger to the audience. Viewers were often anxious and excited with questions like, will there be any accidents? Or who will win? The unique customized race cars and the skills of each racer were always the highlight of each episode. Although the show received great love from the audience, many of the main cast members seemed to have hit a rough patch towards the end of each season, leading to some of them unexpectedly leaving the show. Daddy Dave is one of the cast members who has seemingly slipped behind. Before he and a few other cast members left the program, he was the face of the Street Outlaw franchise. Consequently, where are the racers that captivated spectators? Let's start with the 8th place rider. His name is Ryan Martin. During the 405 crew's early season, Ryan Martin became a noteworthy member after joining the Street Outlaw No Prep Kings. He didn't hold back in showcasing his engineering and racing abilities in his extensively customized Chevrolet, which he dubbed Fireball Camaro. His winning streaks had supporters on the edge of their seats, and he was unstoppable. Ryan, the newest cast member, wasn't always a racer, contrary to common opinion. He was a technician who assisted other street racers with repairs and performance upgrades before making an appearance in the Street Outlaw series. Early on, Ryan's enthusiasm for racing was driven by his family's appreciation of vehicles. He was a co-owner of B&R Performance, a dealership for high-performance automobiles, before he gained fame as a racer with Street Outlaw No Prep Kings. His racing abilities were fine-tuned by this experience, and they would serve him well in the event. Everyone knew that Fireball was going to win the event the second he stepped onto the platform because of how talented he was with vehicles. He is among the most successful racers in the No Prep Kings series, having won many championships. Despite experiencing some technological difficulties, Ryan was able to get to the elimination stage of a recent event. Preparation is key, and he's a master at what he does. He stays composed and attentive during races. As a result, he has achieved several triumphs. Making it to the last round, he prevailed against Giuseppe after overcoming Joe Woods and Jerry Bird, two formidable opponents. At the Palm Beach International Raceway, he was racing alongside Daddy Dave when an incident occurred that caused quite a stir. Even though Ryan was clearly in the lead, Daddy Dave was given the victory for some reason. This happened even though Ryan usually won most races. Just a moment earlier, the crowd could see that Ryan was ahead. Thus, this statement came as a shock to them. A little timing error, however, caused him to fall behind, as was later revealed. Disagreement arose as the two races came dangerously close to fighting. When their favorite racer didn't win, fans were furious. The racers and spectators alike were embarrassed by this embarrassing situation, but the officials kept things under control. A statement from Ryan and Daddy Dave was requested to defuse the situation. Ryan may have been driven to quit the program by this type of uproar, yet he stayed. At the moment, he is busy operating his business and trying to build his brand. Hats, shirts, and mugs are just a few of the items sold on his internet store. If you think Ryan Martins is the best racer in the world, just wait until you hear about the strategies used by the next competitor on the list. Step 7. Big Chief. Justin Shearer, better known as Big Chief, is a famous face in the world of street racing. He became famous for his part in the reality show Street Outlaw No Prep Kings. He first set eyes on a racing car when he was 9 years old, when he pedaled his bike to Route 66, a famous track in Oklahoma City. He purchased his first vehicle, a 1972 Pontiac Le Mans, when he was 15 years old. This set the stage for him to compete in street races in the future. Making his automobile, the Crow, was a turning moment in his career since it contributed greatly to his success on the program. Over the subsequent years, he modified the Crow in a number of ways, the most notable of which was Crow Mod, a version he created to demonstrate his technical prowess and racing prowess. Participating in the making of the legendary Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings was a turning point in Big Chief's career. Being an initial cast member, he quickly became a fan favorite because of the show's focus on his street racing abilities. Big Chief, a prominent player in the Oklahoma City street racing scene, played a pivotal role in the event by arranging races and keeping score of the best racers. This was something that the program was known for. He was a regular rival of outlaw driver Kai Kelly, whose rivalry with him was a major plot point, as it resulted in many high-stakes races and helped both of them hone their craft. They may have liked competing with one another, but they still recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses. The dynamic between Big Chief and Daddy Dave was complicated at times. Their intense rivalry stemmed from the fact that they raced together on several occasions. Conversely, fans frequently found comedic relief in his interactions and friendly banter with Monza. Based on their history of working together in different races, the two appeared to have a strong friendship on Street Outlaw No Prep Kings. Big Chief was a very good racer, but he was in a perilous predicament that almost ended his career, or worse, than it already had. This occurrence occurred in the year 2023, during a tournament. The worst possible thing that could happen to Big Chief's Crow during one of his much-anticipated races was an accident. The automobile was severely damaged since he lost control of the wheel. Thankfully, his injuries were not life-threatening, but he still spent a considerable amount of time in the hospital, primarily for observation. Assuring his followers of a speedy recovery, he thanked goodness he wasn't badly harmed. He needed a short vacation from racing to get back on his feet after this mishap. Given his major role in the program, his absence was highly obvious. His followers are eagerly anticipating his comeback to racing, and he plans to do so soon despite this delay. Street Outlaw No Prep Kings features Big Chief, who contributes to the show's popularity. He had an uncanny knack for keeping spectators engrossed in the races because of his extensive understanding of the sport. However, Daddy Dave was the one with the most knowledge about auto racing. My Dad Dave is number 6. One of the greatest racers ever seen on the Street Outlaw franchise is Dave Comstock, also known as Daddy Dave on the racing scene. Many admirers were captivated by his incredible speed and skill on the wheel. How then did he get such exceptional racing skills? The city of Oklahoma, where Daddy Dave was born and brought up, is home to several venues for motorsports and a thriving automotive culture. Because of this, he became fascinated with trucks and unscheduled racing. His first vehicle, a 1986 Chevy Nova, was his at the tender age of 16. The teen's desire came true when he started making adjustments to his bike for racing. Not long after, he followed his heart to the streets, where he honed his craft and gained invaluable experience. He was well respected by his contemporaries for his hard work and exceptional talent. Daddy Dave is renowned as the King of Street due to his extensive collection of racing vehicles. The 1996 General Motors Company Sonoma, his maiden significant racing vehicle, helped cement his status in the racing world. The vehicle underwent a comprehensive makeover, which included a new engine, suspension, and transmission to prepare it for the streets. The Sonoma was a pivotal race car in his career, even if he has since gone on to other vehicles. The development of his legendary race vehicle, Goliath, was a watershed moment in his career. After undergoing substantial modifications, the formerly 2005 Chevy Gran Turismo Omologato became an unstoppable racing machine. For a while, everyone was enamored with this transformed Goliath. Daddy Dave was a regular in local races before he joined the Street Outlaw team. That explains why he had a flawless performance on the program. He owed a great deal of his talent development to the local racing community, and the friendships he formed with other racers also contributed to his skill improvement. Daddy Dave got his big break when he joined the Street Outlaw series. The show's producers saw his magnetic personality and stellar racing reputation and asked him to join the cast. Daddy Dave was one of the racers who stood by Big Chief after his injury. Through it all, Goliath has been his rock, and he has triumphed against formidable foes on several occasions. Daddy Dave got the opportunity to compete against legendary racers like Big Chief and Kai Kelly during his tenure on the show. Winning both of them would establish him as a serious threat to the series title. Daddy Dave was a skilled driver, but he was engaged in a devastating accident that wrecked his car and changed his life forever. During one of his renowned races on his beloved horse, this occurrence happened. He started losing control of the wheels out of nowhere, causing it to do a deadly somersault many times before it collapsed. Many followers were on the verge of a heart attack after this incident. They couldn't stop worrying about whether Daddy Dave was seriously hurt or had passed away. Thankfully, Daddy Dave was alive, albeit he suffered injuries that should have killed him. His automobile, Goliath, was severely damaged. Fans began to worry about his safety when racing on the street after this occurrence. Steve Lamberson, the race operations manager, was there during the tragic occurrence and stated that the car had been too powerful for the course. He had never witnessed anything like that. Daddy Dave had to receive and fix Goliath after this accident, so he had to take an extended break from the broadcast. It had an impact on the program, but then again, if the entire cast had died, there would be no show. Would there? In addition to the obvious physical harm from the accident, Daddy Dave also had health issues, such as the wear and tear that racing can cause. His health was already precarious, and a series of unfortunate events only made things worse. It may be emotionally taxing for any racer to have to combine their enthusiasm for racing with the risks involved, and he has spoken about the difficulties he had in doing so. The street racing community, however, has been there for Daddy Dave every step of the way. He is determined to pursue his passions regardless of the obstacles he faces. He triumphed over technical difficulties to earn his 25th invitation win in a recent race at New England Dragway in Epping. Even though Daddy Dave and Monza have their share of arguments, Monza is the racing world expert when it comes to Daddy Dave. Monza, number 5. Jerry Johnson, who is more well known as Monza among racing fans and competitors, is an expert driver. As far as racing vehicles and engines go, he is unrivaled in the nation. He rides a wicked jet-black Camaro rally sport that has taken him through numerous races. He stands at an astounding 6 bar. His present car, a split-bumper Camaro, was inspired by the Chevy Monza he had driven earlier, which is where his moniker came from. He became famous overnight, propelling the Monza to the pinnacle of its class. Which Oklahoma City street vehicles were deemed the fastest? Since competitors frequently compete against drivers from other states, with Monza frequently coming out on top, this ranking is frequently seen as a standard for the quickest racers and automobiles in America. After obtaining his driver's license in the 1980s, he embarked on his racing career. His relentless pursuit of street racing has earned him a reputation as one of the sport's most seasoned and esteemed competitors. One of Monza's first racing cars, the Chevy Monza, was the one that gave him his name. For him, it came to represent who he was in the racing community. Monza doesn't do all the work to be ready for races. One of the important parts of Team Monza and the car's performance is his son, Brandon. His son's role in getting his automobile fixed up is something he has mentioned frequently. When we constructed the Monza in 2005, the whole vehicle was controlled by knobs and timers. On the other hand, you can't do anything to this automobile without causing a laptop to burst out of its seat. In this situation, my boy comes into play. You may say that I'm a computer dummy. For some reason, I am unable to pick it up in a very short amount of time. According to Monza, we are a tremendously excellent squad together. Its speed and handling were much enhanced as a result of these significant improvements, which enabled it to compete successfully against other racers. In addition to the Chevrolet Nova, Monza's array of strong machine rides included the Chevrolet Nova. He devoted a significant amount of time and money to the process of transforming this automobile into the formidable competitor it is today. And the investment paid off well, as he was able to achieve a great deal of success. Monza, who is known for his lack of verbal communication, is often more composed behind the wheel than the majority of street outlaw racers. Even though many of the competitors would wish to insult the quiet person, he swiftly puts them in their place by winning the match in a short amount of time. Although Monza is an expert on the wheels, the occurrence of an accident is still something that he completely does not anticipate. In the year 2021, he was involved in a terrifying collision that caused his vehicle to be completely destroyed. This collision took place as he was competing in a race against Chuck Seitzinger, a multiple-time record holder who was driving his dual-turbo Fox body Mustang, also known as the Death Trap. It was around this time that he found himself slowing down off the line while Chuck was holding the scramble button, which, when triggered, increased the power of the vehicle. Monza was able to swiftly cut the deficit on Chuck, but in the end, she was unable to win the race. Immediately following the completion of the race, the situation took a turn for the worse. Suddenly, Monza was unable to maintain control of his vehicle, and he crashed into a curb directly in front of Chuck, causing his vehicle to roll many times. In a fortunate turn of events, he withdrew from the incident without any injuries, demonstrating that his investment in safety gear was well worth it. On the other hand, several of his friends and others who were watching from the starting line couldn't help but cry. You should be familiar with the Reaper, who had been through a terrible incident that put his racing career and, even worse, his life in jeopardy. If you are familiar with the program, you should know about him. Fourth on the list is James Goad. The term Reaper was given to James Goad, one of the stars of the television show Street Outlaw. This moniker was derived from the fact that his Chevrolet Camaro had been substantially customized. Because he was introduced to the culture of Oklahoma racing at a young age, James, like the majority of other racers, fell in love with automobiles at an early age. After some time, he decided to take this enthusiasm to the streets, where he participated in local races and developed the abilities that would later become synonymous with his identity as a street outlaw, No Prep Kings. In a short amount of time, Goad became a fan favorite on the program, despite the fact that he was one of the early cast members. The fact that he was known to be an experienced driver and that he had an appealing personality made him an ideal candidate for the show. Through his participation in the Street Outlaws series, Goad was able to garner attention for his legendary automobile. However, despite his tremendous accomplishments, he had a number of significant difficulties with his automobile. Over time, it suffered a few mechanical problems, which ultimately resulted in a drop in its performance when compared to competitors who were both more recent and more powerful. This was a significant obstacle for Goad, who, like every other racer, desired to come out on top in his competitions. It was necessary for him to re-evaluate both his racing strategy and the vehicle he selected in order to address this performance issue. Regrettably, his treasured automobiles were retired in the most dreadful manner conceivable, which resulted in a significant change in the trajectory of his professional life. What do you believe happened to the automobiles owned by Goad? It was while they were on their way back from a race that the tragic event took place. The fire that broke out in their trailer was completely unexpected, and it resulted in the loss of Goad's cherished Camaros, including the Reaper. Not only did this tragedy affect his car, but it also affected his identity as a racer and his aspirations for the future. Additionally, it made it very evident to him that it was time for him to shift away from his preferred automobile and replace it with a different ride. It was not an easy change for him, especially considering the fact that he had gotten so accustomed to the Reaper and had won a number of races with it. The loss of his automobile was comparable to the loss of his identity. Even though it was a significant setback for him, he had no other option than to catch a ride. He proceeded to switch to a new automobile that he affectionately referred to as D's Nuts. As a result, he was able to begin his racing career with a clean slate. During the development of D's Nuts, Goad concentrated on enhancing the performance of the vehicle as well as its traction, which turned out to be one of the most crucial aspects of auto racing. During the entirety of his stay on the program, he participated in several high-stakes races and events that offered monetary rewards. The fact that he was a competitor and that he was so determined to win made him quite popular among the spectators. It has been communicated to him that he is interested in competing for the big prize of $200,000 at Bristol. This demonstrated both his dedication to the sport and his desire to come out on top. In the course of his race with Kai Kelly and Big Chief, Goad experiences a moment that will live long in his memory. Throughout the Street Outlaw franchise, their races were responsible for some of the most exciting, momentous occasions. Third on the list is Chuck Seitzinger. We are all in agreement that Chuck is the proud owner of one of the most impressive automobiles in Street Outlaw. He has given it the moniker Death Trap, and it is a 1989 Ford Fox body Mustang. In the same way that the majority of racers do, Chuck had already mastered the wheels by the time he reached the age when he could legally drive. This formative encounter went on to play a significant part in his subsequent career in the sporting world. He is an example of a racer who has made racing a habit, whether it be on the street or inside the professional circuit. He had a passion for the sport and was happy to compete in any form of competition. The No PI Drag Racing Association recognized him as the Rookie of the Year due to his consistent performance in drag racing. Additionally, he was victorious in the four-cylinder class of the Nitrous Express P4 Xbox Cup Championship in the year 2004. Chuck is well known in the racing community for driving the smallest yet quickest vehicle in the 405 region. However, racing is not the only thing he is interested in. He is also active in other activities. He is the proprietor of a repair company known as Advanced Motorsports, where he not only shows his enthusiasm for racing, but also displays his mechanical abilities, which appear to have been successful. Chuck has had the opportunity to compete in high-stakes races that were contested by the most competitive racers in the country. As a result of his effortless victory in these races, he was given the title of Racemaster for the No Prep Kings Series Championship. However, despite Chuck's abilities, mishaps are still completely unavoidable. During a tournament in the year 2021, he was unable to maintain control of his wheels, which led to a severe collision. The accident resulted in significant damage to his vehicle, which necessitated substantial repairs. Nonetheless, he was able to walk out of the vehicle with just minor injuries. Because of his injuries, he was required to take a leave of absence to fix Death Trap. In order to prevent more harm of this nature, Chuck started wearing high-quality racing helmets that were specifically designed to protect the head from injury in the event of a collision. In addition, he wore a racing suit that was resistant to fire, which was essential for the purpose of protecting him from burns in the event that there was a fire. Additionally, he used neck restraints to protect his neck while he was traveling at fast speeds. In order to safeguard the driver in the event of a rollover or accident, he installed a roll cage in his vehicle. This roll cage was developed specifically for that purpose. As a result of his knowledge and the strategic approach he takes to the game, Chuck has established himself as a respected figure among his fellow racers. Except for the racist episode, he emphasizes the significance of his loving family, which consists of his wife and their 2 kids. To him, their love and encouragement mean the world, and they are one of the reasons that he has been so successful because of them. Although a significant number of the racers in the Street Outlaw franchise had been involved in vehicle accidents while competing, James Finney is one of the few members of the program who had to deal with the potentially fatal consequences of their mishap. How bad were James Finney's injuries? Second place goes to James Finney, often known as Birdman. The racing world is familiar with the name Birdman, whose true name is James Finney. Birdman is a household name. Because of his role in the Street Outlaw franchise, he eventually gained widespread recognition. His family and friends were the ones who first exposed Birdman to the world of racing. Birdman is originally from Houston, Texas. On the program, he is extremely well respected and feared by his fellow racers, and he has completely submerged himself in the sport. He had a passion for racing and started his career in street racing on the outskirts of Houston many years before sports received widespread attention. Birdman gained a lot of victories during the course of his more than 25 years of involvement in the racing industry. His vehicle, a 1999 Firebird Trans Am, is a type that is well known for its streamlined appearance and strong capacity, both of which made it the ideal choice for street racers. When he first started racing on the streets of Texas, there was no method of PR and no social media to spread the word about his venture. This is an interesting fact. Despite this, Birdman acquired a well-known moniker in the neighborhoods where he traveled. When it came to racing strategies, he was well known across Houston. As a result, he has been active in the racing scene, engaging in activities that are common among street outlaw racers. On the other hand, joining the cast of the show seemed more like maintaining his love, but this time it would be on social media. It was through his participation in a variety of racing championships around the United States that he gained greater recognition. As Birdman made his debut in the world of auto racing with one of his vehicles, he was uncertain about whether or not he or his crew would be successful. Even though he was certain of his ability as a racer, he was uncertain as to whether or not street racing was his area of expertise. On the other hand, he rapidly recognized that he was capable of not just participating, but also excelling on that very first day. Then, after a few runs, we said to ourselves, "Okay, we can do this. We can dominate. All we have to do is wait and see." Even he is rather taken aback by the level of fame that he has achieved. He has not only achieved success in the race that did not require any preparation, but he has also become an evangelist for the sport. With his leadership, there is little question that the sport will continue to flourish in the years to come. It is very uncommon to witness accidents in the racing scene. Although the majority of racers have been involved in a vehicle accident and sustained minor injuries, Birdman came dangerously close to losing his life after being involved in a fatal automobile accident. The disaster took place on July 1, 2023, when shots were being taken on a roadway that was located west of Wyoming. While the filming was taking place, Birdman was involved in a high-speed event that resulted in 2 major accidents that came dangerously close to taking his life. Both Birdman and another racer were transported to the Wyoming Medical Center because the consequences of this event were so severe that they required medical attention. As a result of the numerous injuries he sustained, the medics indicated that he was in a stable condition. This news came as a comfort to the fans and those who were competing with him. Mike Murillo, another racer, wrote a message on social media in which he asked for prayers for the 2 people who had been killed. The gravity of this occurrence was brought into sharper focus by this. Birdman remained at the hospital throughout the night, and the updated information provided by the medical personnel who were in charge of his care indicated that his condition remained stable. Following his release from the hospital, he was required to participate in physical therapy and rehabilitation programs to recuperate from the injuries he sustained. A great deal of uncertainty was brought up regarding Birdman's future as a racer as a result of the accident, particularly because his talents might never be the same again, not after his injury. Although he has not made any public statements on his intention to return to Street Outlaw No Prep Kings, the fact that he is so determined and has such a great passion for racing gives rise to the possibility that he will make efforts to return. Unfortunately, Birdman was not the only one engaged in a collision that put their lives in danger. James "Doc" Love comes in first place. Doc is not just any racer, he is a prominent figure in the reality TV series Street Outlaw No Prep Kings. He has been involved in street racing for years, long before his time on the series. Throughout his career on the show, Doc has been renowned among fans for his racing prowess. With his 1970 Chevy Monte Carlo, which he nicknamed the Street Beast, throughout his time on screen, he proved that he meant it when he said his car was set on killing any competition that got in his way. Doc, a prominent street outlaw racer, has had many notable achievements and even topped the leaderboard. While trying to regain his title after being passed by Sean and Daddy Dave, Doc suffered a serious accident in September 2020 during a race in Nebraska. In this incident, his car flipped multiple times, causing extensive damage and sending Doc on a journey of physical and financial recovery amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the accident was a terminal accident that left him severely injured, with multiple bruises on his body and memory loss of the incident. Doc shared sincerely on social media that despite suffering a serious concussion and losing consciousness for more than 30 minutes, he did not give up racing and still tried to overcome difficulties to return to his passion. Doc also sent his deep gratitude to his family, friends, and fans who have always been by his side during the challenging time. What do you think about the dangers that can happen to racers at any time? Is what they have to trade for their passion worth it? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next videos.